Hey, this is Nick from Income Digs. Welcome to this video tutorial. We're diving into QuickBooks again today, and we're going to be using QuickBooks to manage our rental properties, a continuation of some of the other videos we've done. If you've been watching some of my videos, you know that I really love QuickBooks for pretty much everything real estate investing, and specifically managing our accounts receivable. So who owes us money? And in the case of rental property management, typically it's our tenants who owe us money. So I'm a firm believer, especially if your portfolio isn't thousands, but it's tens to potentially hundreds. Managing your invoices in QuickBooks is a really effective way to do it. So I'm going to be showing you those invoices, but really today's focus is how to deal with getting paid. All right. So once we get paid from our tenants, how do we deal with that in QuickBooks? All right. So let's dive right in. Now, I will say if you haven't seen the video on how to create invoices and how that all works, creating recurring transactions, check that one out first. This is kind of a follow-up to that. All right. So I'm going to pop open QuickBooks here, and if I go to my banking feed, I have some deposits that aren't reconciled yet. All right. So this money hit my account, but I don't have a way of accounting for it yet. And one of these is really old too. This is $4,000 came from somewhere, right? And so QuickBooks is trying to figure out where it goes, and it doesn't know. Okay, so I'm gonna figure that out and help that along. Okay, now I certainly recommend you hook up your banking feeds, whichever ones you can. Now sometimes this gets a little overwhelming, but I'm telling you right now, it's the best way to make sure your books are in check. Okay, let's go to our sales page. If I go to sales and I go to invoices, we're gonna see what's outstanding here, and I have a bunch of these invoices that I haven't recorded payments for yet. Now, I'm going to tell you that in reality, in my business, I've gotten paid for them. I just haven't recorded it the right way. All right. So a lot of us receive checks or cash, and we need to deal with that. I will say before, this video is going to focus on dealing with those checks and cash, but I really recommend you use online payment, because if you do that, everything takes care of itself automatically. QuickBooks kind of does it all itself. So just as a reminder for that, I'm going to show you an example. I recommend that you have your email address for your customer, and you set up either a bank transfer, which is super cheap. I think sometimes it's even free. It's either 50 cents or it's free. I'm not sure what it is lately. You can do credit card payment as well, but that you're going to incur a fee of about 2.9% plus 25 cents, I think. If you do that, you can always add that fee on to your customer so that they have to pay it. But let's say you do bank transfer, and when you send that invoice, you get a preview of it. They're going to get that. They're going to see what they have to pay. They can pay right online with an ACH, and it's really great. They can also set up recurring transactions. Okay, so here's that invoice. They can click review and pay. Now, why does it say $24.50 when this invoice was $10.50? That's because it adds up all of their total due. So that specific customer has a lot more than that due. All right, this is a recommended way to do it. All right. However, as we know, not all customers are going to do it that way. People are still going to send you checks. So that's all going to still happen. So let's deal with that. So let's envision now that we got checks for a bunch of payments, and let's deal with these old ones first. Okay. All these that are dated 2/1. So what you're going to do is when you receive that check, you're simply going to go into QuickBooks and say receive payment. Now, did you deposit it right away into the bank? Typically, yes, right? If you did, just where it says deposit to, just do checking here, okay? Put the date you received. I'm going to put these as 2/1. Let's kind of take a step back in time for that. All right, so you just click that you received the payment and went to your checking account. All right, let's do that for all of these. Let's assume that I kind of got all these around the same time. I got all these separate checks from different people. They're not going to write you one check because they're not the same human beings, right? They're not going to combine it all. Now, that could happen if it's like a shared living situation, but that's kind of a special case. All right, so I'm just going to receive payment from all of these. And when I'm doing it, I'm making sure it goes deposit to checking. Now, you could do deposit to undeposited funds and deal with the deposit separately, but I found that I'm usually depositing right away anyways, and I'm going to show you how I can still match this to the bank feed. I don't need to use undeposited funds necessarily. All right, save and close that one. I think I got one more, or a couple more down here. Actually, let me just do a quick look. I'm gonna just go to my balance sheet and just see what's going on. So here's that money coming in. I just want to check the date on that invoice. That one's good. That's good. All right, cool. All right, and then, yeah, 1,400. Okay, cool. So everything's looking good. And again, I'm going to show you how we're going to match that with the bank transaction too. Let's say that I received this payment as well, at 1,400. All right, 2-1 to checking. All right, so we got all those in there and they're kind of cleared themselves up, right? So now how do we match that with the banking transaction? So we just received all this money and we put it into that checking account. Well, we go back to our banking. We're going to see we have this $4,000 right here. Okay, so what I can do with this is it's not going to find one single transaction, right? Because there's several different transactions that equal that. But if I go to find match, it's going to bounce me over to this screen, and it usually does a really good job of guessing. It's going to go and find all of those deposits into that account, and it's going to add them up. In this case, it happens to equal 4,000 exactly. So it kind of guessed, and it's right. When I click on the suggested matches here, if I don't do that, then I would click through these myself, and I'd see what the difference is, and I could potentially resolve that difference. But if I do suggest matches, okay, there it is. And I can just click save, and it's going to eliminate that transaction. All right, pretty cool, right? So that's how we did that one. I'm going to do another one for you, but I want to show you this one. So let's say that a check does come in, it's deposited by itself, okay? So this one, for example, this, and I'm just going to go to all sales. There's a lot of cool views. This is a great view where you go all sales and you can go overdue or open. Okay. Now all the open ones happen to be overdue. So let's say that 1040, right? Actually, yeah, that 1040 came in. So I could go here and I can click receive payment, but I don't really have to. If the check is for the exact amount of the invoice, you probably saw on the other screen, QuickBooks is taking a guess and saying, hey, we see an open balance for Amy, and this amount happens to be the exact same. Should we attribute this to be a received payment? You can click yes and match it, and it's going to mark that invoice automatically as paid. So if I go back to my sales page, you can see that one fell off. I go paid in the last few days, there it is right there. So there's so many different ways to do it. I tend to batch my deposits often, as many of us do. And when you batch your deposits, you're going to have to do that step where you're kind of telling QuickBooks where it all came from. Now I'm going to try something. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Let's say that I received payments for all of these kind of around the same time. I want to see something here. So $73.97. Let's go to banking. And what if I did find match here? Because I received all that. Will it find these invoices? It does. Look at that. So that actually saved me another step that I didn't realize. So I don't necessarily have to click on receive payment. I'm going to get out of this and do this again. All right, so here's what I'm talking about here. We know that the bank has a transaction of $73.97 that came through, okay? I deposited those all on one day. All right. Now I happen to have an open balance from my customers of exactly that amount. So all of these customers paid me, and I took that check, all those checks at once, and I deposited a total of $73.97 into the bank at one time. So I could go through each of these and click receive payment. That's what I did on the first one. But what I just tested and works really well is you don't even need to do that step. You can kind of have these sitting here and open, and then when you see it come through your feed as a $73.97, that same amount, I can go to find match, and let's pretend that it's not so simple. I can say, all right, that $73.97, where did that come from? Well, it was from John, he paid me, Jamie paid me, Wendell paid me, Gary, Megan, Jack and Jill. They all paid me. There's that $73.97, and I can save that. And then that disappears. My bank transactions will now match what's in the bank. So my QuickBooks matches the bank, which is, the golden, what you want, right? And if I go back to my sales page, everything's cleared up, and I can see everything that's been paid in the last few days. So there's so many different ways to do it. If you bring in the banking transactions, you can see that QuickBooks does a really good job of guessing everything for you. Let's say you made a mistake and you need to adjust something. You can just go back to those transactions. You can see a bunch of stuff that I've excluded here. You can go back. Oh, here we go. We can go back to these and undo them. Okay, really easily. So you can always backtrack if you need to, but it's really good to use this banking feed. It saves you a ton of time. You can see that like you're batching the deposit, they all go in at once, and then you match it all as well. So that works out nicely. So I highly encourage you to do a few things. One is connect your checking account, connect to your credit card account, pretty much anything that you can connect, do it and pull in those transactions. You don't always have to match them, you can exclude things. And then second, if we're managing our sales, our invoices in QuickBooks Online, which I highly suggest you do so that you can have your accounts receivable showing up here, dealing with those deposits can be really easy if you use the bank feed and use the deposit feature that it has there. Okay, so hopefully that clears it up. I know we had some questions about how to deal with payments that are coming in. That's how I do it, and you can see there's a few different ways to go about it. So let me know, how do you manage your payments coming in? Are you batching checks, or are you individually depositing them? Are people paying you online? That's probably the best way to do it, I think, because QuickBooks is going to automatically recognize those payments coming in. So let me know, how do you do it? Is there something that you want me to go over to show you how you might do it differently? I'd be happy to demonstrate that. In the meantime, feel free to check out incomedigs.com. There's some free downloads there. I have my QuickBooks setup guide that is really a good starting place. If you're in real estate and you're trying to figure out how to get the baseline done, that's a great place to start. Check that out, and of course, let me know if you have any specific questions, anything you want me to cover on a video. Be happy to do it. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.